Hello, welcome to my channel for Evolved Humans. I am Ms. Day. This is a collective reading. I heard that Madonna song. I think it's Madonna. I don't even know the song, but it's like that one I heard just I'm living for love, I'm living for love. And I feel like it's almost like that needs to become, even the song Battle Cry by Beth Crawley, I think, is in my head. So basically, this is so weird. The feeling I got with this was almost Henri. Like someone is it makes me think of a kid who's maybe cute, but gets away with, can kind of, shoot a cute grin at the authority figure, and they're like, oh, you, something like that. It's kind of cute. But it's also this is interesting because it's almost like whoever you are, there is literally a battle. At first I thought that this was a continuation from the last reading, and now I feel like this is a different type of vibe. It might be, but it feels like someone is turning away from themselves in that same sort of smirky way where they're like, oh, but I'm busy. Or I don't do that. I don't pay attention to that. It's making me think of one of the weird vibes I got too. Okay, so I heard the Madonna song and a Celine Dion song, which was, I just kept hearing I must be crazy now. Maybe I dream too much. And then that one, it's I feel like it's kind of a two. This one feels like someone is almost tricky with themselves about their own emotions. I feel like the word manipulative again is in here. Manipulative away from your own heart. Your own true feelings. Your own true knowing. And this is interesting because whoever you are, I get this image of you being an overly emotional person, but really pulling away as if you can't handle all of those emotions. But you can, because that's your natural self. I feel like you are a naturally overflowing with emotions person, and that's why you're so quick to manipulate your own aversion from your own feelings. Is aversion from? I don't know. But I really need to look that up. But okay. You're smooth. This is interesting because it's smooth in that way that it just makes me think of being someone who's the responsible kid, and then their sibling is, the apple of their father's eye, so they just get away with more. I don't know. They have more leeway, something like that. There's just this sort of, it's almost like that's the treatment that you are able to get yourself in your interactions in this world. But it feels as lighthearted as this felt up until this moment, there's almost a heartbreaking reality underneath. And that's why you avoid those big emotions. That large emotional self, for some reason, was it's like sliced. And you just like, you got out of there. And I think that you know that you're an overly emotional person, but you keep running away from them anyway. You're okay with that. You gotta, When you don't make a decision, you're not a very reliable foundation for other people. I don't know who this is for. Like, I don't know what this is for. But this is kind of like someone who, yes, it can be seen in a lighthearted, cute way. But if you really just like get through all of that surface show, there is a deeply emotional person underneath who can be cut very easily. And I think that there's something tender in there that doesn't know how to exist that way. It's almost like you're always running away from yourself, but you're also always wanting to find direction. And this internal battle, it's like you know that you need, it's like you know that there's this feeling of almost not trusting yourself. And I just keep getting this weird feeling of words. Even like the words "I love you" not touching you. See, this is all from pain. You wouldn't, I think that you may be misunderstood. Frequently in life, when you try to get close to people, you may have a difficulty finding like a common sort of place to stay comfortable yourself, even if you can make other people comfortable. And like there's this strange feeling because of this. Even if you can make other people comfortable, I feel like you might have reached this point in life where you're wanting to deliver more because you're more. It's almost like you have been missing you. This whole reading, it's like the only light in this reading is like heart. Where it's like all the light is right here. And it's like it's contained. Because I think that you fear it because it hurt. And it can hurt. And will hurt. So I think that your clever quickness gets away from it. And I really do believe that as we get older, that gets harder. Not harder to get away from it because it becomes a habit. We adapt to it, and then if we don't break that habit, it's our life. So this is so strange because earlier I was thinking about this thing and I was like, I don't know where I'm going to have that conversation. It's like I had a conversation all alone, and it's for this reading. It's for you, whoever this is for. There's like this you can't dodge the negative emotions that exist. Like, you've got to be able to see this as, okay, you do dodge them. So, first, in any, like, when you're trying to fix something, like, just think about somebody who is recovering from being an addict from something. And what do they always say? Like, they're always like, the first step is awareness that you've got a problem. You've got to accept that there is a problem in order to fix the problem. So whoever this reading is for, it is justified. Even if you don't share this with anybody else, because you're not comfortable exposing this type of huge tornado that you know you actually can feel, and I feel like you're afraid to unleash it. Oh, but you can handle it. It's you. It's you. I keep thinking of like just this silly feeling of like the unleashing the Titans. Like, you have to unleash in order to evaluate. Like, you're going to have to, if you want to be able to have a solid connection with someone, I don't care who this is with. Could be just a friend, could be a coworker that you're developing a relationship with and realizing you don't go deep with them, with people. But what you cannot avoid, like when you're rebuilding a solid foundation for a new life chapter, you have to accept awareness of where it's at right now before you can step into a new chapter. You cannot step into the new chapter unaware of the one you're leaving behind, because all that means is you're dragging two stories on top of each other, so you're not really fully committed to either one. And it's crazy because this feeling of indecision, this is weird, because it's like at first I got the vibe that this was saying to someone, put this indecision to an end. Put this indifference, this feeling of indifference to an end, because that's not your true self. And I feel like it's just stalling at you living. It's almost like this feeling of someone who's always running away, but actually all you're running away from is like what's happening in here, where it's like there's these, I think that whoever this reading is for, okay. So I think that you're quick-witted. I think you're smooth, and I think that you're fun. I think that you're charming. I think you can be quick and accepted and smooth, whoever you are. I don't know all the words. Because I just feel like you're quick to maneuver, quick to chameleon in order to either make a fun, smooth wave through your encounters or to avoid a deep connection in all of your encounters. Because I think that you avoid a deep connection in here. It's almost like I get this feeling that you think you're a bystander to your own internal self. And I think that's a mistake that is often made in this world, where we really get that's a danger of kind of accepting too many labels, especially about ourselves. So like, just an example, like I've said I've had an eating disorder. I think I even said the word like bulimia, because it's in the past. Please God, don't tell me like how to get over it, because I have. That's like why I'm doing what I'm doing. But I don't like the words, because none of them quite align with exactly what my problems were, how I handle them, what triggers them. Nothing has been specifically the exact same. And the weirdness and the reason I'm so not into the labels and I don't identify with them is because so many other people that I've talked to don't identify with those either. However, they also have struggles that we would all term as an eating disorder. So it's like sometimes labels can be a way of distracting us away from ourselves, but it's not like the big bad world who's doing it. It's more so like we're allowing it. Because when you allow yourself, okay, I also wondered if someone in here, whoever this reading's going to, if you almost lean to the left, and I mean like away from things that feel like they're opening up in intensity emotionally, maybe you just avert away from them really quickly. And I think that the reason that the labels thing is coming up is because it's crazy. It's making me think of even like junior high kids I've heard talking, where they'll say things like, oh, I've had intrusive thoughts. And it's like, to some degree, you have to be careful with that. Because it's like, if a child thinks they're having intrusive thoughts, that kind of suggests that they're having thoughts that are intruding upon their own brain. And it's like, that kind of eliminates their own control over their own thoughts. Just in language alone. It doesn't have to suggest that, but it could. So it's like, you know, like where if I say somebody's got like an eating disorder, you might think that they just go puke up their food because they don't want to be fat. That's not, it's not that simple. Like every person's different and everyone develops for different reasons. And I feel like whoever you are, it's almost like you were developing just fine, and then something broke that steady path. Something just like broke it, and you were like, okay. And you just like kept going, and you kept smooth, and you stayed charming, but something inside stopped connecting. Gosh, it sounds so weird. Okay. So sometimes it's important to like decide. Yes, this whole reading is about deciding. It's about making a decision. And like, okay, so this is nuts. One of the biggest mistakes that I've made, yeah, it's justified for you to acknowledge where you're at. Because one of like the biggest mistakes I've made as a medium in my life, in any of the times where I was like doing readings or if I was clearing houses more or whatever, like whatever wave I was at, you know, whatever I was working at. One of the biggest mistakes I made personally, which some of you, I feel like somebody needs to hear this because it keeps popping into my head today and I've never really put it into words. So that makes me feel like it's needed by somebody. Sorry. But I would make this mistake of thinking I needed to detach from my personal self in order to be a better medium for someone else. But the thing is, if I'm the medium, then detaching from my inner self is actually sort of misaligning with sort of becoming less aligned with information. Because I need a solid foundation. I need a decision about what I'm comfortable with, what I believe in, what feels normal to me on a regular Tuesday when I got up at this time. Like, I need some sort of control variables. Otherwise, I don't know how to judge what happens next. And I feel like this is the reason it's coming out in these words is because somebody in here, I feel like you need, okay. And I get this feeling of like a masculine past loved one, which is not for everyone. But it's like somebody's in the space trying to give direction where you've needed it. And when you're like quick moving and quick witted, sometimes it can be easy to not give advice to somebody like that because they seem okay without it. So maybe if that's you, I feel like they're trying to make you know how well they know you. Because what you have in here is being seen, but it's not being materialized. It's not being manifested externally out of you. And it's like, but you have the opportunity to do that. Which I think that what you need to align with, this is so weird. It's like that giant emotional self that you are is the light. So like when I said like one of the biggest mistakes I made was like thinking I needed to detach. It's like if I go through my morning and I'm like teaching, doing homeschooling stuff with my kids, handling the dog, like doing normal things, doing yoga, doing healthy things, normal things with my little family. And I'm like trying to keep my mind in an area where it's open to someone else's information. It's like, that's just not being focused. That's just not choosing where to direct my own focus. So it's like whoever this reading is going towards, I feel like what they're trying to do is give you that direction piece, and you're fully capable of taking it and moving into the next step. Like you're really good at navigating, and you are capable of going it alone with them. But like I just feel like you need to realize that you can fool yourself because you can charm other people. And that's not always in your best interest. And they're like saying, we see your charms, but we see what you're missing. And what you're missing is you. This overly emotional self, it's like it causes turmoil inside because you're just avoiding what's really truly there and has always been there and will be until you turn your gaze on it and sort through it. That's what I mean. Like I can't be a disorganized medium if I'm going to be a medium for someone to get clarity. It's like whoever you are, I don't know if this is for a relationship or for your work, but it feels like it can go both ways. Like very much like for somebody's professional direction and very much for somebody's personal growth, because they go back and forth. It's kind of like like a ping pong thing where it's like grow professionally, grow personally. That's what we're kind of doing. And it's like, okay, it feels important. So it feels a little bit strange and intricate, but like there's this thing where we want to jump out of our body. And it's like, I think that whoever this reading is for, you're very quick. You're very quick moving, quick with your focus, quick elsewhere. I know we can, you know what? If you label yourself, oh, that's my ADHD, that's my attention, that's my blah, blah, like, what if you just accept that that's what your human does and that you have the opportunity to control it? And I know that it might not, knowledge is power. So just think about how when I'm clearing a house, let's say I'm clearing a house and a past loved one, this is weird, but it ties in, like a past living entity. Let's say people keep seeing them experiencing the same things or hearing the same words or something like that, like the same types of, almost like just a repetitive type of cycle that it seems like this dead person is in. If I'm going to clear a house, it's like I have to be aware of what is happening. Because if I'm not aware of the low frequency, then I'm not able to know how to draw it up. Or if I'm not aware of the high frequency existing, then I'm not really able to be of use to anything that's kind of stuck in a low frequency cycle. So that awareness of what is good and what is true, that is tied in to an emotional acceptance of what is real and what has really happened and what is really happening. And the reason I'm saying that is because whoever you are, it's that type of awareness that you are in need of to move on out of this cycle of always averting away from deep connections. It's like, I feel like what they want you to do is try to experience emotions. I know you experience emotions, but this feels like try to find in your mind, try to stop calling yourself things and start seeing the way that you operate. It's different. If that's not your identity running the show, then that means your identity has a choice about how to run the show. Knowledge is power. The low frequency does not want you to know that the low frequency is running the show. If you're in a house, the negative activity, typically it's going to be different with different people, and it's going to be where they can't share the experience without it becoming a low frequency interaction, like, nah, that's too fake, that I don't believe that. It's knowledge. If you can know yourself better, then that makes you a stronger foundation. That awareness is what grounds you to your own identity. Because like your identity trying to jump out all the time, trying to avert away from deep connection, it's so weird because I just keep wanting to say like that gravity thing again too, where it's like we really are pulled down. That is like, yeah, we're literally grounded. I know everybody knows that. I know. But it's weird because it's like in this instance, I feel like you think, gosh, there's something that you're used to thinking about yourself. And whatever it is, it's going to be different for all of you. But there's something you're used to thinking about yourself. And it's like, I feel like the message is, no, it all adds up and it's a part of your operating systems. This is something you can control. Gosh. So that weighed down feeling, when I'm like experiencing that the high frequency is there, you have to emotionally accept that you are here. Like, I don't jump out of my body to go find somebody in the high frequency. Like, I'm in my body. This has to be a solid house. Like, my body is my temple. I really see that when we're doing like the medium stuff, because this needs to be a solid foundation. Otherwise, anything that comes in, like, you don't know what to do with it. And it won't know, you don't know what to do. If you don't have control of your own pathways, then you can't control what's being used, what they're used for. Okay. So this is weird because, so it's like, whoever you are, I feel like you might have this feeling in an emotional way about your own self, which doesn't feel like your true self. This is so weird. It's like, it doesn't feel like it's your real. Okay, whatever. Do with that, whatever. Okay. So it's like we may feel like we're fighting, like our body's fighting against us when we want to avert away from things that are frightening because we feel that weight of, oh, that's risk, or, oh, that has to live in here. Oh, Like that's where that's danger zone, That's where it can hurt. And it's like, so if you have a habit of always kind of running away so you never settle in here, it's not because your body's fighting against you, it's because you're fighting against your body. Because its natural pull down is actually, it's a safety measure. Like, there's a reason for that. So it's like, this is a survival mechanism too. Just the fact that we're in here, it's not a trap. It's an opportunity to change something about how you experience it. So it's like, I feel like they're trying to tell you all of those emotions, like that huge emotional self that you are, and you think it's like always an inner struggle, inner battle. They're like, what you need to do is let those emotions surround you a little bit. Let it become a part of your air. Which is interesting because this makes me think of each child of mine. I have 3 kids, and each child, it's like they go through these different stages, these different time periods will pass, and all of a sudden, there's more to them. And it's not just, oh, they have all of these new interests and they have big feelings. I mean, their energy has grown because there's more information they're working with. There's more information they need so that they can sort out more going on in here. It's like they have, more like hormonal reactions to the human stuff. So they need the science we already know because they're experiencing it. They just need direction. They need to be guided and told that's normal. That's not going to feel that great, but that's actually happening for a natural cause, like for a purpose that you will experience later. And this is just a part of the pathway to get there. So it's like, I think that whoever you are, you're going to fight big battles, which you already have overcome a lot. But what you have to do is it's like they're trying to give you this sort of like permission to stop the fight. Stop trying to keep it at bay and let your own energy surround you. And if that sounds foreign to you, I know it doesn't to a lot of people, but like if that sounds foreign to you, I think what you need to recognize is that you have a natural tendency to run away. And so that's actually more foreign than having your own physical space. Personal space is a need. Like people agree that like that's a need now. It's not just something that like that's not a privilege. That's not a luxury. That's necessary. Like if you don't have personal space to process your own human experience in your own processing abilities with your own time frame, then where are you? Like you deserve a place in this world. Crazy. It even makes me think of like, if you're someone who experiences going to stores and you sort of like shut off, maybe you get clumsy or maybe you get spacey and you're just kind of like in this like narrow vision, like hurry, get in and get out. That's not everybody. But if you do that, sometimes it's because it comes from this strange, all the way deep down in there feeling of not ever being able to settle somewhere, not ever being, or always seeking security, but never finding it. That's because it comes from you have to create it. It's because this is your home. So you have to find security and build security in your home in order to share security with someone else. And that involves any type of interaction. I'm not talking like romantic unless that's what you're looking for. But for some of you, it's just connection. Something is not wrong with you if you find it difficult. That does not mean something's wrong with you. That means there's work to be done. And isn't that great? Isn't that great? Sometimes, okay, this is weird too. I'm going to keep going because this just feels like full stuff. So one of the things that personally, like when I've been told in the past things that are wrong or things I've been given like a different perspective of something I've done or I've acted like, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can see that. It's like the most beneficial perspectives are the ones, maybe they trigger you, but they're the ones that they may not feel good to experience that perspective of yourself and your own, your own like aura, your own actions, your own lifestyle. But like the best friends, in my opinion, like the best interactions, I don't care, whatever we call them, I'm not into labels, but like the best interactions, in my opinion, are the ones that are honest, but for the greater good, for a higher purpose, which just means a purpose outside of ourselves. And it's like, I feel like you don't have this surface way. That is not your true identity. So when you identify yourself with your surface habits, it's like you're cutting yourself short and you're selling yourself short. And it's like, if you're selling yourself short because the world has been selling you short, then where are you? You have this right to exist in this world. Like the store thing, the reason I thought about that is because it made me think of my middle child, because she always would shut off when we would go to a store. I had to remind her so that she could kind of catch herself doing it instead of me having to tell her, because I don't want to be like annoying. I just want her to be able to exist without my voice, So like her own voice took over, where she takes deep breaths when we're getting ready to go into a store now, because she would just get ready to go in and go fast and get out because something made her feel like she didn't have a right to go slow, to not know where she's going for a second, to take the time to decide, what do I need? Why am I here? And how do I want to feel? Like, I don't need to feel stressed and rushed. And I know that sounds a little bit silly, but is it? I mean, isn't that what we do? We have to live. You have to go out into the world. So whatever it is that that's what this is too. Because connection is how we exist here. Like, if you've been an independent person, you can be a super independent person and still need connection. And there's nothing about that that's weird, because that's how we grow. We do it for each other. Otherwise, why? Like, there's such a bigger reason to our own manifesting ourselves out here than just us. So like, if your light is this strong and you're averting away from it all of the time, it's like you're free, but you're still holding yourself you're still holding yourself back. It's like you won't allow yourself to experience freedom. And maybe that was imposed upon you, but it's like you have to stop identifying as that person and start recognizing that you can take control, and that if you don't believe you can take control, then you won't. Like, knowledge is power. If you can't know you better than everybody out here, then nobody out here can know you. It's crazy. I don't know. I don't even know if that's true. Anyway. Okay, I'm going to end it at that. These are pretty intense. This one feels like someone who's really in need of direction and always knows it, but doesn't know where to find it. Doesn't know where to reach because there's something that you're just not finding. Okay, yeah, I'll leave it at that. Okay, definitely let me know if this one resonates too. I hope it's beneficial. I feel like I'm talking to people who are mediums or even maybe fighting that you're a medium. And some of you that are just kind of ready to go into healing. Sometimes we have to be like kind of pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. And then finally we'll do it. And that's okay. That's how we learn, That's why our parents, it's a joke that people are redundant. Just like with trick-or-treating, like, did you say thank you? That's the joke that goes around, because by default, we try to repeat things so that we will remember them. If you annoy yourself with something enough, We used to do that in choir, like where we would practice it 9,000 times, and it's like by the end of the day, you're so sick of that song, but you could never mess it up again. So, okay. Definitely leave it at that. I hope this is helpful. Definitely let me know if it is. Subscribe to the channel if you feel like the readings resonate at any time, and have a good rest of your day or night. All right, bye.